Everyone, guess who's back? It's Kamish back here with our first draft preview for Tier 1, and it's Luke and Too Good for a Name, a guy that's pretty much an original owner if you really want to look at it that way, and a guy that obviously had an interesting trade last year, acquiring Justin Jefferson from Susie, and obviously cost him a lot of draft capital this year, which obviously is going to affect him a little bit. So, but we'll say about Luke, awesome owner. It definitely helps with the international content. Luke, if you do have any friends or family that would like to join the league, we definitely are in desperate need of more international content. So if you have anybody that might be interested, be great to have them. I'll just share my screen now and get into your preview. And we'll just get into it. So here we see Luke with Tier 1. And let's just get into it. So right now you do have your keeper set. And your current keepers look like this. Of course, he made the big trade last year to get Justin Jefferson. So, definitely one of your top guys, if not the top guy. I guess the only concerns there with Justin Jefferson, of course, is going to be who's throwing the ball. Is it going to be the rookie? Is it going to be Sam Darnold, who's been a career bust? But he might be able to resurrect his career, hopefully, throwing the ball to Jefferson. And then I think you got a good one here in Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan is going to break loose this year. Obviously, first year in the league last year, a little bit more of a timeshare, had Algier still there. But I think Bijan's going to take over a more primary role this year in Atlanta. The guy's a beast, and I think he's going to do well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another great receiver for you off Detroit, an ascending team. I don't think they'll ever let Detroit win one. They're too small market. But definitely they can have some regular season success. And that's what the fantasy is all about, is the regular season. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is obviously right up there as one of the best wide receivers you can have. Tight end Trey McBride. I know there's a lot of hype for this guy. We haven't seen him break out yet, I would say, but obviously for tight ends, it usually takes a few years. He's entering year 3, I believe. So this might be the year where he actually breaks out for Arizona, and that team's got a lot better, obviously, with Harrison. They'll have a healthy Kyler, which I think it should help them out a lot. This is where your keepers get a little bit interesting. You have Kirk Cousins, quarterback Atlanta. So we know Kirk Cousins is coming off the Achilles, and I don't think he's going to be quite ready to go. I don't know if it's going to be Michael Penix starting early on either. If he doesn't show much in the offseason or in preseason, you'll probably see Heineke start, but definitely interesting to have Kirk Cousins. And then your IDP right now is Max Crosby, a sack machine with the Las Vegas Raiders, which I think is a pretty decent pick. I'm never opposed to keeping a DL as a keeper, just because, again, I think if you can get one of the top DLs, it actually does help you in that position group against other teams. So other keepers, I didn't see a whole heck of a lot there, but there is Jordan Brooks that you could keep at linebacker. Michael Thomas, of course, isn't on a team yet. You don't really have much. Jordan Hicks maybe for Cleveland. But there's really not much else you could keep. I guess you could try DJ Shark with the Chargers if you wanted to let go of Cousins, but not sure if you want to do that. I think Atlanta obviously is a team that could ascend this year. They've gotten a lot better. Looking at your draft pick scenario, so this is where things get awfully interesting, right? The reality is, doesn't look good for you. We have 12 picks in the first 10 rounds. That's not a winning formula, okay? 17 picks in the last rounds 21 to 29. Your first pick isn't until the 80th pick of the draft. And at least, on the bright side, you did have the 81st pick. But, if you look at this draft scenario, no 1 to 3, right? No 6. You got pretty decent keepers, but I mean, even Kirk Cousins is a fifth keeper. I'm not that high on. And then, when you go into rounds 11 to 20, you have no 11, no 13, no 15, no 18. And then when you get to rounds 21 to 29, most of your picks are in the back four. You actually have 11 picks in the last four rounds. Again, I think it's going to be tough for you this year. You went all in to get Justin Jefferson, but now you're going to pay the price for it. And let's face it, you got Justin Jefferson, won the consolation round, and that trade really did work out to be heck of a trade for Susie. I think Justin Jefferson obviously is a game winner, but it was a lot to get him, and obviously you got to hope he delivers on all his promises this year. There's no doubt about that. So, for some reason, my PowerPoint froze up on me. So we have another section here this year that we want to look at. It's likely first pick. Sean, if you could send me your likely first picks for the future teams that we're doing. But I put first pick as 80th pick, so who cares? I don't think Sean and I are going to go that deep into figuring out who could potentially be the 80th best player in this draft. Usually it's guys like Jameson Crowder at that point. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough year, obviously, for Luke this year. And, we also have a new section that I want to introduce this year, and that's our potential storylines. So I've asked Sean to provide me some commentary, what he thinks could be, the worst case and the best case scenario for each team. And, right now, if things go well, so, again, if things are going to, work out in the favors for Luke, right now we got Sean saying, well, maybe he could finish seventh or eighth. For myself, I got 12th or 13th. I just don't like that draft pick scenario. And if things go bad, we both have you at about 18th or 19th, obviously on the cusp of going out. So that could be, obviously something to be aware of. So the commentary for Sean here on potential storylines for Too Good for a Name, he's got picks are horrible. Most of his picks are in the back third, has great keepers, two of the top four wide receivers in his opinion, and one of the top tight ends. He will need to make trades in order to compete this year, and his whole season relies on J.J. McCarthy, who Sean is not a fan of. I do feel that actually it's going to be Sam Darnold that's going to be the quarterback throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, either or. It's not like Darnold's any better than J.J. McCarthy based on the resume. My commentary for you, Luke, I understand why you made the trade for Justin Jefferson. I think obviously you were thinking you might make the playoffs last year by getting him late and coming back. Didn't work out. Instead, you won the first overall pick for Susie. And I think you're a great owner. I think that international division is always up for grabs, but I think this year is a hey, I gotta just survive year. I think that's where your head's got to be this year, and if you can survive, I think the next year you could have a pretty decent team if you have guys like Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then maybe you can also upgrade with another great keeper in the draft next year. But I definitely feel it's going to be a challenging year for you this year. You were picked first for the preview as you had draft overall position number 1. But unfortunately, you are not picking number 1. You are picking 80th in the draft. And that's going to make for, I think, potentially pretty long year for you, Luke. But again, I think you do have the intelligence to survive. I think there's a couple other teams that are going to be on the cusp of dropping. And obviously, we'll preview those teams at a later date. Good luck in the international division, Luke, and try to keep that career record above 500. You've done a good job doing that so far, and looking forward to seeing what you can do this year. Good luck.